WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warning against aggression aimed at Israel after the political leader of Hamas is taken out in an airstrike in Tehran.
Iran's supreme leader has vowed revenge for the strike, raising the possibility of a direct attack against Israel that could spark a broader war. In an address to the nation, Israel's prime minister vowed to continue going after his country's enemies, saying that Israel hit Iran and its proxies on 3 different fronts over the past several days, but stopped short of taking credit for the Iran strike.
Fox is Trey Inks in Tel Aviv. The accused mastermind of the 9/11 attacks, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and 2 others have agreed to plead guilty to conspiracy at Guantanamo Bay as soon as next week. The plea agreement allows the men to avoid the death penalty in exchange for life sentences. The details of the deal are sealed. This is lawyers for Saudi Arabia are seeking a dismissal of claims it supported the September 11th hijackers, arguing the country fought against terrorism and al-Qaeda just like the U.S. in the 1990s and should not be a defendant in lawsuits seeking over $100 billion for relatives of people killed in the attacks. Former President Trump holding a rally in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania this hour. Earlier today, he was in Chicago answering questions before the National Association of Black Journalists, where things got testy.
Former President Trump under fire for suggesting Vice President Kamala Harris only started identifying as black recently for political gain. Trump was then asked if he believed Harris was a DEI or diversity hire.
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty.
The comments coming during a contentious interview with black journalists at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention in Chicago.
Fox's Brian Yennis. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre called Trump's comments insulting. America is listening to Fox News.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
No shortage of storms. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending this hour. 47 tornadoes have already touched down in the state this year.
And that ties us with 2004 for 5th overall. Last year, of course, we had 54.
Jill Neal with the National Weather Service says heat and humidity are big contributing factors in any severe weather you may have dealt with already this week. The Big Ten Conference is bringing both its men's and women's basketball tournaments back to Indianapolis the next 3 years. Here's John Herrick.
They announced on Wednesday that both the men's and women's tournament will be in Indianapolis in 2025. The women's tournament comes back again in 2026, and the men's tournament will be in the Circle City in 2027. This upcoming year is also the first time it will feature 15 teams in the field, even though there are 18 teams in the conference, and that means that some teams will not make the conference tournament field. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And Fever rookie guard Caitlin Clark has enjoyed a small break from basketball during the Olympics.
I've been playing basketball for a year straight, so it's weird not playing, but I think the refresh from every standpoint is really healthy for myself and something that I needed.
Clark speaking after the team's practice Tuesday. The WNBA has been on pause for the summer games in Paris. Plus, they've had their own all-star break. The Fever season gets rolling again August 16th, nearly a month after their last game. Clark says she's been playing some golf during her time off. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Moving into Wednesday evening, we're going to see scattered showers and thunderstorms. However, the worst of the weather is likely already passed. Low temperature drops to 73 degrees. Winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Drew Narsutis for 93 WIBC.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
At Franciscan Health Indiana Blood and Marrow Transplant Program, we treat you like family. Our cancer specialists provide around-the-clock physician access and deliver groundbreaking treatments to face cancer head-on. With over 25 years of experience treating complex blood cancers, we're a top 100 hospital for bone marrow transplants by CareChex and rank in the top 12 nationwide for allogeneic transplant survivals. Visit franciscanhealth.org to learn more and find hope in our compassionate care.
Aren't you worried Max might run off?
He's safe. We installed invisible fence. See a special collar?
So he can roam freely but won't leave the yard?
Exactly. And it was so easy. Invisible Fence installed everything and even sent out an expert to train Max.
I need Invisible Fence for Roxy.
Go to invisiblefence.com to get started today, absolutely risk-free. Give your pet freedom and safety. Go to invisiblefence.com right now and schedule your free consultation. Go to invisiblefence.com. That's invisiblefence.com.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey, the Amber and Nigel show.
All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening and welcome to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal, syndicated nationally, first on 93 WIBC. If you had told me just a few months ago that it would be Donald Trump sitting down with a hostile, very hostile panel of journalists today at the National Association of Black Journalists in Chicago, and that the Democrat nominee, whomever they were, whether Biden, Harris, would be the one sprinting around the country trying to avoid talking to the media, I would have called you crazy. I would have. I would have expected that in this particular electoral campaign, that given the way it had been run so far, that Trump was going to try to avoid talking to media as much as possible, and that he was going to go around the country, do rallies, and be dealing with court cases that were brought up to harry any possible way that he might be campaigning right now, and that the Democrat nominee, whether it was Biden, Harris, or whomever, would be enjoying all of these fawning groups of journalists, telling them to their face how wonderful they were, and just, oh, mwah, 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 mwah. And instead, we've gotten the opposite. And it's very jarring. It is very, very weird. And we're going to go through a few of those particular instances. First and foremost, Kamala is not being asked any questions at all. There are no major outlets in the center or the left that are actually pressing the Democrat nominee by assumption. Again, she has not actually won any votes at all in this primary election. She's just being crowned the queen of the Democrat Party. None of the media have asked her any questions. And they haven't asked her questions about a number of things, including, most pointedly in a presidential election, what are your plans for the next 4 years? And the few times that she's been asked sort of those things, she's given very blasé platitudes. Well, I think America should come together and that we should do better and move forward and Donald Trump is bad. And that's pretty much it. She doesn't actually articulate what she wants to do with the country, which, kind of a big part of being the president of the United States. Instead, she's been flip-flopping pretty heavily in almost every single campaign position she ran on just 4 years ago. In the last major election, Kamala Harris ran very far to the left. And she promoted things like banning fracking, as well as mandatory gun buybacks, as well as increasing the amount of funding towards federal nonprofits instead of border agents, and not to be outdone by eliminating private health insurance, looking at police budgets to reduce them in the midst of the George Floyd riots, and then flipping on federal job guarantees, which, by the way, she co-sponsored during her time in the Senate. Now she's completely flopped on all of these things. Well, that's not precisely true. She hasn't flip-flopped on these things. Those writing her campaign press memos are the ones who have flip-flopped on these things. And that's a very distinct difference. Because Kamala, when she actually got out in front of everyone, in front of all of these interviews, according to a thread compiled by my friend Greg Price over on X, Kamala would get in front of the camera and say the most progressive thing that she could imagine because she's a very, very liberal person. And now that her campaign is realizing this is going to be a very tightrope election, she's flipping. So instead of banning fracking, now, according to a 2024 article, it says Kamala Harris will not ban fracking if she wins the White House, her campaign says. According to the Reload, now Kamala Harris, as of July 30th, has walked back from her past calls for AR-15 confiscation. Kamala Harris has now stated through one of her campaign apparatuses that she supports increasing the number of Border Patrol agents. Now she's also against the idea of eliminating single-payer health insurance. She's also running on being some kind of tough-on-crime prosecutor that she hasn't been for ages and ages and ages, and even then cut a ton of deals for some of the worst people in San Francisco. And now, to add insult to injury, at 3:40 p.m., the Washington Examiner reported that a spokesperson for the Harris campaign said that Kamala had even changed her position on a federal jobs guarantee, which is something the left and the Green New Deal folks have been desperate for. Why? Well, because Kamala is very, 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 very unpopular on each and every one of those things that I just mentioned. And if Donald Trump is allowed to get up on stage and in a debate with her, hit her on those things, she's done. The minute Kamala admits to being for this stuff, she's absolutely finished. So her campaign is releasing all of these statements. Now, Kamala's not, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, why Kamala's not and where she is on some of these things with the media. In the meantime, the actual president of the United States, maybe, Joe Biden, is just nowhere to be found. I mean, he is floating between things on his calendar like lunch and naps. And Karine Jean-Pierre, amidst Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, all getting ready to go into a huge, extremely serious regional war, Karine is just, kind of carrying water for the president.
Could you sort of give us an idea of how much the president's schedule has changed since the ticket changed? Because if you look at what we look at, the big event on Tuesday was a phone call. The big event today is a lunch. Tomorrow, we don't know what he's doing. Friday, he heads to Delaware. Yeah. It lends itself to the appearance that he's done governing.
No, he's not done governing at all. I think that appearance would be false. It would be a misled appearance. I understand the question, but I will say we were in Austin on Monday. We were obviously in Texas. We went to Austin, went to Houston. He went to pay his respect to the late Congresswoman. He went to Austin to make a very important announcement as we went back and forth on this.
Yes, the president is busy because he was visiting Austin, Texas. The world is on fire. Like, actually, from Venezuela to the UK to the Middle East, the world is on fire, and that threatens U.S. interests, troops, and citizens abroad, as well as the economy, which we're going to be getting into in the last segment of the show today, coupled with all of the other issues that people really would kind of like to see an American leader guiding us through a tumultuous time. Biden's just not even there. Instead, the big story of the day was that Donald Trump attended the National Association of Black Journalists conference over in Chicago. Now, there were some good things that came out of this and some bad things that came out of this. And anyone who tells you that it was totally bad for Trump or the best thing ever for Trump is that's not the truth. That's not the case. Trump said a lot of good things. So first of all, ABC News reporter Rachel Scott just embarrassed herself by acting like an absolute fool. Again, as a reporter, as a journalist, going after Trump here. Here's Trump fielding these accusations being framed not even as a question.
Is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity.
So Trump starts to list things that he feels he's accomplished for the black communities of the United States. And it's a mixed reaction from the crowd, by the way. There's laughter at Trump's expense and there's laughter in favor of Trump, because that is not how you actually question an interview subject. And by the way, Trump also has some good moments talking a little bit about inflation. He goes on in a fair amount of detail talking about how in the United States, there are a lot of illegal immigrants that are taking primarily inner city, he refers to them as black jobs. These are just jobs that are held in a lot of areas that large communities of black individuals reside, which, by the way, according to studies coming out by the day, that's true. Individuals coming into the country illegally are taking the jobs of those who are traditionally in middle and low economic income classes. And then there's the bad. So Trump goes after Kamala Harris, who has been using being black as some kind of a token-esque quality of her personality for the last couple of years openly. Biden bragging about it openly. Here is Trump going after Kamala Harris in kind of a novel way.
Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman.
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but...
So again, you can hear Scott like starting to ruffle her feathers, and it's kind of a funny moment, because again, some of the crowd are laughing because there is a very large issue in the black community about wanting to be in both camps of being in the black community and also having one foot out of the black community. There is a very weird situation regarding the DEI groups in this country and individuals who are mixed. There has never really been a place for mixed people in the United States. And it is also true, by the way, for the record, that Kamala has identified very heavily as more Indian than she had black until she ran for the United States Senate. Now, that said, that's not at all a winning message for the right. It's kind of a waste of time. It does not matter what color a person is or whether a person is claimed to be this, that, or the other. The important thing about Kamala Harris is her policy and what it is that she wants to do. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit up next because there's a whole lot of pearl clutching that's been going on. And then, of course, the situation that Kamala's, just completely ignoring and no one's thinking to ask her. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal and 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Joe Biden posting a statement saying he is dropping out of the race. In the statement, he did not endorse Kamala Harris. That came on X. It's in the best interest of the party and the country to focus on finishing the term. No, you got told that it was the best interest of the party and the country. What did they offer? The pressure over the last couple weeks has been intense.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
If you can't get a good night's sleep, let me ask you, are you breathing well? Because if you're snoring or waking up each night with a stuffed up nose or frustrated with your CPAP mask, the root of your sleep problem lies in your breathing triangle. And if any one of those passages isn't working, you won't sleep well. And there's no mattress, pill, or other gimmick that can fix that. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. A recipe for a good night's sleep starts with an open airway. Now, there are devices that can help solve snoring or sleep apnea problems. If you walk into a sleep center, know you'll walk out with a CPAP. And you might find other options elsewhere, but the simple truth is, if your nose doesn't work properly, no device will help. Only at Advent will you find every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution, along with a world-class team that can get your nose working properly again.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Don't stress about plumbing repairs. Call LD Smith for honest advice and a free second opinion on any estimate.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Meals from those years are hard to forget. It was all white bread and whole milk, hamburger casseroles and quiche Lorraines, all with a side of cigarettes. We ate salads as desserts. We knew a party was classy if it had a cheese log, and we never missed an after-dinner smoke. It didn't matter if we were in our dining rooms, a burger joint, or the ritziest of restaurants. There'd be an ashtray on every table, and that very particular flavor in every meal. We smoked for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's amazing that our food could taste like anything else. If that was you then, get your lungs screened now. Surviving lung cancer starts with a scan. Learn more at screenyourlungs.org. This PSA was made possible by industry funding and guidance from lung cancer patient groups.
Teachers shape the future. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who'll make preventing pandemics their life's work. Sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who'll help combat climate change. And generating possibilities for a student who'll be the first in their family to graduate college. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
This hour on WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, designers of fine custom jewelry.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
So, at this conference in Chicago, which again, very hostile towards Donald Trump, he answers some questions very well. One question, he makes a joke. And he points out that, Kamala Harris, again, wants to have one foot in the being black camp, one foot in the being an Indian heritage camp, which is a contentious issue with many in the black community, which is why there was some laughing. There were also some jeers. Again, very interesting situation. Do I think that this is the thing that's going to be to win the election is pointing out that Kamala Harris has prior on cooking shows that she's been on and other political shows that she's claimed Indian descent. Do I think that's the real winner for this election? No, but I also don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Unfortunately, the pearl clutching, so we got to break out the freshwater pearls. The pearls got clutched everywhere. Oh my goodness, how could Trump just destroy the sanctity of the National Association of Black Journalists by speaking today? Oh, good heavens. So Karine Jean-Pierre called it despicable and evil and hateful and awful and just all of the words that she could point to in her baby's first thesaurus. The Harris campaign released a statement on Donald Trump showing exactly who he is at NABJ. And they accused him of lobbying personal attacks and insults at black journalists, which, interesting. No, that didn't occur. Apparently, the narrative that is now going around is that Trump went in and just walked around slapping black journalists across the face, which is not the case at all. In fact, the vast majority of questions he answered rather convivially, and I will remind everyone that he did show up. Although they did hold him, by the way, they did hold him to being 36 minutes late, I believe, and that matters, as funny as it sounds, because it was reported immediately after that Trump had agreed to sit for an hour-long interview, And they say his team cut it off at 34 minutes, indicating how much of it a train wreck it was for him. And, oh, the journalists were so wonderful. Oh. Donald Trump arrived there, according to records from both the NABJ as well as the Trump campaign. He arrived early, and they kept him waiting to fix audio problems, according to sources on the ground, for over a half an hour. So Trump, who is currently speaking in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, as of this broadcast, had to actually get to Harrisburg from Chicago, which I don't know if you know this, they're not next door. So I'm afraid that dog just ain't gonna hunt. However, the bleeding, the crying, just the mourning, oh, the horror. Twitter is just filled with just the weeping masses. Oh, how could he say such horrible things? Donald Trump has always been a despicable person. Shame on Tia Mitchell. Shame! Ken Lemon and other leaders at NABJ, they allowed a lying racist criminal bigot to insult their audience and smear VP Kamala Harris. Oh, just the humanity. Why was he invited? This is my favorite one. This is from The Busy Leader. I'm a white female non-journalist watching from Australia. Great, honey. We were all really wondering. And I am disgusted and horrified by Trump's remarks at the NABJ event. I mean, these just go on and on and on. The ABC journalists didn't deserve that. They're breaking out all of the words: racist, rapist, misogynistic, pedophilic, maniacal, Hitler sympathizing sycophant. It's just not going to work. And for every comment Trump may or may not have made that was unwise to make, by responding like this, they will, in the eye of the public sphere, the independent voter will forgive Donald Trump for anything that might have been unwisely said in this particular event. Because whenever the media responds to something, they never just respond to the direct thing. They respond to the reaction, the horrors of whatever is going on, and then ramp it up to the nth degree. It's the end of the world. So that it no longer functions as some kind of report. The pearls just don't function. Where there are no pearls at all are the situation regarding the Middle East, which, again, is currently on fire. So, Hezbollah has finally announced the death of Senior Commander Fouad Sherk, the Chief of Staff and Third in Command of Hezbollah. The political chief leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, was also killed in a special operation. And currently it is guessed that a senior member of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has also been eliminated today on the outskirts of Damascus. The Ayatollah of Iran is now calling for a universal retaliation and strike against Israel and, by the way, in contingent the United States. So there are now open threats of war being made to the United States from all of the Shia regions of the Middle East. This is very, very close to ramping up to a very serious World War situation. And by the way, I would like to throw on top of that in this particular instance, the border of the United States is wide open down south. In fact, the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, indicated to Congress directly that they were concerned with terror threats, especially from those from North Africa and the Middle East, coming through that border. My colleague, Virginia Allen from the Daily Signal, has met individuals at San Diego who are not just from Central and South America, but from the Middle East, as well as North Africa, illegally immigrating into the United States. Border Patrol, as well as the Department of Homeland Security, have before stopped those on the terror watch list from Iran, and later on in the country, after committing more crimes, have found others who were associated with revolutionary and radical Islamic agents from everywhere from Tajikistan to Kazakhstan to, of course, Iran and Pakistan. So you might wonder, aren't we in the middle of a presidential election cycle? Wouldn't the candidate who's running for office have something to say about this? Kamala? Anybody? No. Kamala Harris, who, by the way, is the Vice President of the United States, in addition to being the only sentient person in the White House. Biden is just gone. The dude's playing spoons on his knees if he has enough energy to do so, which is doubtful. Kamala should be answering questions about what her plan for the Middle East was, because right now she's walking the tightrope. Because Rashida Tlaib, who's super friendly to all of the Hamas and Hezbollah groups over in the Middle East, on the progressive side of her, and then the members of the Democrat Party, such as Hardin from Maryland, who are more in favor of Israel, that's a major split waiting to happen. And Kamala doesn't want to upset either voter base because this election is too close. And the bumps she's getting in the polls are very, very small compared to where they should be if she could comfortably make a statement. Now, any functioning member of the media would point this out and say, hey, what is your plan? What are you doing right now for this? What is your plan if you get into office in January? You think the Middle East is going to be all wrapped up, good to go by January? Where's Anderson Cooper asking her that question, huh? Well, Jake Tapper, Mr. Afghanistan veteran concerned man. Yeah, man, all the Afghanistan questions seem to have vanished from Mr. Tapper's worksheets. Gee, where is everybody from Vox and the New York Times and the Washington Post? Where's old Jennifer Rubin, who's super critical on foreign policy regarding Netanyahu in the Middle East and what Trump would do and what Biden has done? Where are the questions for Kamala? There are none, because Kamala can cackle, she can talk about drag and abortion, that's it. Everything else is word salad. And if you think that Kamala is going to be able to make it these last 97 days until the presidential election without shoving her foot into her mouth and down her throat on foreign policy, you got another thing coming. And that's just one of the things Americans are concerned about. And this is going to severely impact down the ballot elections. And calling in just a few minutes is Kurt Schlichter over from townhall.com to go over some of the updates to the down the ballot elections, which are largely going unnoticed, which is also very unusual in this election cycle. Stick around. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on the Daily Signal and syndicated first on 93 WIBC.
Are you within 5 years of filing for Social Security? Get this, 96% of Americans, 96% forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income, and it's all because, unfortunately, they file for their benefits at the wrong time. Learn how you can avoid this with a free customized Social Security analysis. It's from Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy.
So if you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and have not yet filed for Social Security, schedule that free analysis right now by calling Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. Bill Demery. For some people, filing for Social Security early could result in more net income in retirement. The free analysis pinpoints exactly how you could get the most income from Social Security. Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. That's 317-648-5120.
Hey, it's Rob. If you want to grow your hair back, check out the precision and accuracy of the Artist Robotic FUE at We Grow Hair Indy. You'll be amazed at the permanent natural results you can get and get back to work ASAP. Darren Andrews, Clinic Director of We Grow Hair Indy, is here to tell us more.
The Artist Robotic FUE hair transplant at We Grow Hair Indy, one of the most sophisticated hair transplant procedures available. The accuracy and the precision of the Artist Robotic FUE is what clients love the most. Get the results you want with our Artist FUE or multi-unit hair grafting procedure.
Don't wait. Call today and find out more about the Artist Robotic FUE at WeGrowHairIndy.com. Call 317-522-2995, 317-522-2995 for your evaluation, 317-522-2995, and grow your hair back today.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-511-3535. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider, 800-511-3535. That's 800-511-3535. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-511-3535.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Are you in need of a new mattress, sofa, sectional, recliner, lift chair, even a big green egg? If so, then you're in luck. Now through Monday, it's our Made in the USA sale. We guarantee you the best price, best service, and free delivery on everything from Smith Brothers, Lazy Boy, Stearns & Foster, Pollywood, and more. Lowest prices of the year now through Monday only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Reach your fitness goals in 2024 with the 20-minute once-a-week program at Exercise Inc. 5 locations now in Fishers. Visit exerciseinc.com.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Together, we can provide 1 billion meals by 2030 because everyone should be welcome at the table. Learn more at nourishingneighbors.com.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal, nationally syndicated and first on 93 WIBC out of Indianapolis. Joining us is Kurt Schlichter, the retired Army colonel and lawyer, the senior columnist over at townhall.com, and the guy that is always counted on to suffer through the political nonsense just the most stalwartly. You can always lean on just the griping of Kurt. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you. I love to be the conservative grouch.
Well, it's just such a nicer intro than, celebrated author. I mean, you need a little to shake it up.
Yeah, take a slightly different direction.
So speaking of a slightly different direction, because, I'm so great at segues, I'm tired of hearing everyone talk about Kamala and Trump every 15 seconds. That Kamala is so stinking important that everything hinges on the balance. And when we actually get to the election day, there's an entire Congress of representatives and senators that's going to matter really almost a heck of a lot more than whoever it is that sits in the White House, because there's a lot that's up in the air. And I'm not sure if the Republicans are going to be able to swing through a huge tidal wave of red to unsettle kind of the weird stalemate that we have in the House and the Senate. What are your thoughts?
I don't know if we're going to get a tidal wave in the Senate, but I think we'll take it. You look at the races, start with Indiana. Jim Banks, of course, is a great guy. He's going to make a great senator. Moving over, Bernie Moreno, I think, will start to move up against Sherrod Brown as things tighten up and people start paying attention to stuff. And then we get to Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick, fellow Gulf War vet. He's incredible. He's great. Up in Montana, Tim Sheehy's already ahead. I think he's going to do it. Dropping south, Carrie Lake in Arizona. A lot of conservatives have been criticizing her. And I know her a little personally. She's a very nice lady. She's running a different campaign this time, a more inclusive one. The kind of Bush guys are all, well, Carrie, she's just throwing away this seat. Well, the voters in Arizona may have something to say about that. And if she's such a bad candidate, instead, such an out, maybe the voters in Arizona were repudiating, the thumbs down to Obamacare that the old Republican Guard in Arizona was about.
Sure.
So maybe it's not just because, they like bad people. Well, she isn't bad, but maybe it's you screwed them over, and this is their way of getting back at you. So maybe shut up and get on the team and help her bring in the win.
So this is actually something that I've kind of come around on in the last couple of months, because I had some concerns about Carrie Lake over in Arizona as well. And then I had a conversation at the RNC with the chairwoman of the Arizona GOP. And we talked a little bit about a changing strategy and more of a big tent Republican campaign. And I did actually take some advice, and I went and looked at some of her campaign and how Carrie had changed from the last election to this one. And I got to tell you, I don't know if I'm optimistic, but it is, like you pointed out earlier today, it is a much closer race than people are giving it credit for. And
it's a purple state. Look, this is a 50-50 country. And look, I'm always an optimistic guy, but I'm optimistic because I know I'm going to work hard and do everything I can to bring in the win. And that's what we got to do. Yeah, you know, people are like, oh my gosh, Kamala, she's so bright. Oh no, she's erasing Trump's lead. Trump's lead, such as it was, because it's a 50-50 country, was in significant part based on Democrats who said, yeah, I don't like Trump, but I just can't vote for a guy who's manifestly senile.
So speaking of, I mean, goofy senile stuff, are we going to see any kind of leadership change in the Senate post? I mean, again, I'm not trying to say that, you know, everything's just going to either going to swing one way or the other. But I mean, the post-election Senate change is, again, something nobody's talking about. Kind of matters. Well, look, I mean, we've got some problem guys running. McConnell is too old. He needs to go. And I'm not a reflexive McConnell hater. There are a lot of guys out there who hate McConnell. I tend to take politicians as what they are. Right. McConnell is McConnell. He is a freaking genius. He is a throat slitter. He also drives me up the wall because he's not ideological the way I am. Right. But I don't, I mean, I find it frustrating. I don't hold it against it anymore, and I hold Susan Collins against her. She's a very liberal Republican. She's got elected in Maine. What do I think I'm going to get Ted Cruz in Maine? Come on. But, you know, John Cornyn in Texas, where I spend about half my time now, very frustrating guy, just terrible old guard Republican. You know, Barrasso and Thune might be better, but, you know, the skill set for being a majority leader, and I think we're going to get the majority. I mean, we're going to win in West Virginia. I think we're going to win at least one of the others. I think so too. Is different than the kind of ideological bomb throwers that, you know, a guy like me who came up with Andrew Breitbart, you know, tends to identify with. It is, you know, if you are the majority leader, you've got to get Josh Hawley and Susan Collins rowing the boat in the same direction, which is a different skill set than getting out there and talking about owning the libs. And I love to own the libs. Right. But guys, we've got to be a little more, you know, mature and big picture about these things. A lot of things that are fun or emotionally satisfying are not the brick and mortar stuff, the blocking and tackling that gets you the win. Okay, so I want some blocking and tackling. I want some incremental victories that build up over time. You know, I want a movement, whatever you want to call it, right between now. And I'm not even asking for advice for viewers. I'm breaking the fourth wall for me, for pundits, for the youths, for those of us that are either terminally online or writing articles or talking to people who are too busy doing real jobs every day. Yeah. What do I do to make sure that we're actually moving towards an incremental victory instead of the pomp and circumstance kind of spirit Halloween politics we've grown accustomed to? Well, look, I mean, a lot of it comes to candidate choice. You know, you got to work for your guys in the right guys in the primary, and the primaries are over. So we have the table is set. Right. And we need ours. Okay. So if you're in Maryland, you know, Larry Hogan's your man, as much as I, you know, got no use for Larry Hogan. Mm-hmm. But what did Warren Buffett say? No one ever went broke making a profit. Mm-hmm. You're winning the game if you are putting points on the board, even if it's 1 point. You know, if you're ahead of them and putting points on the board, you're going in the right direction. Look, the thing is, I think a lot of Republicans and conservatives hate politics and wish we never had to do them. Mm-hmm. So they have this kind of hope that one day we're just going to do politics right, fix everything, and they'll never have to do it again. But that's not how life works. Life is a struggle between good and evil, smart and stupid, mediocre, and you know, and Democrats, because the Republicans are definitely mediocre. You know, we're all. Being a citizen is a contact sport. If you don't want to have anything to do with politics, go someplace where you're a subject, where no one's going to ask you to participate. No one cares about your opinion. You will not have to do politics. In fact, you go to jail, if you're lucky, if you do politics. If you want to be a citizen,
That's got to mean something. For me, it means a couple things. It means you own a gun. It means you know how to stop the bleeding if you come across somebody spurting after a car wreck. And it means you do jury's duty, you pay your taxes, and you participate in politics. You make arguments, you go out and participate in campaigns, and then, oh my gosh, you vote.
Right.
So you got a choice. If you want to be, you're not really a citizen unless you're doing those things that make you different from human wallpaper.
I think that's the best way to put it. Kurt Schlichter, senior columnist from townhall.com, lawyer, retired Army colonel, and really one of the better authors these days. Although let's be real, this day and age, that's kind of a low bar. But his books
right?
are.
You can't limbo under it unless you're a snake.
Thank you very much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
We'll be back in just a second. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on the Daily Signal, syndicated and first on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
One thing I'm seeing right now is the hero tour for Joe Biden. All of these same people that were taking that dagger and putting it directly into his back politically, they're the ones saying, what a great American. Oh, look at Joe Biden. He was such a great president. Well, if that was the case, then why did you just fire him?
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-511-3535. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-511-3535. 800-511-3535 or biglou.com.
Close your eyes and picture it. The warm sun on your face. The sound of waves lapping against the shore. What if I told you that feeling of summer relaxation could be yours all year round? At Howard Bailey Financial, we specialize in retirement planning that lets you embrace that summer state of mind every day. Imagine knowing that your future is secure. With our expert advisors, we'll craft a personalized retirement plan tailored to your dreams. Whether it's traveling the world or pursuing your passions, we'll ensure that your retirement is as carefree and fulfilling as a relaxing summer afternoon. Embrace a summer state of mind and text SUMMER to 888-494-5004 to download our complimentary retirement toolkit and experience your retirement planning with confidence.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TSY.
Hey, this is Pastor Micah Beckwith.
And I'm Pastor Nathan Peternell.
And we serve at Life Church, and we got a podcast that we wanted to tell you about called Jesus, Sex, and Politics.
Yeah, you know all those things that the culture doesn't want to talk about that will scare you? Yeah, that's our bread and butter. We love it.
We're going to equip you on how to defend conservative constitutional values based in God's Word in this podcast. So tune in to Jesus, Sex, and Politics
wherever you get your podcasts.
Experience the best of Indiana at the State Fair. From thrilling rides to delicious food and live entertainment, there's something for everyone. Purchase your pre-sale tickets today for the best discounts. We'll see you at the Indiana State Fair this Friday, August 2nd. Visit indianastatefair.com for tickets.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Housing discrimination because of race, color, or national origin is against the law. If you believe you've experienced housing discrimination, contact HUD at hud.gov/fairhousing.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
This may be the first election year, at least since 2008, in which the party up for election is not able to claim some type of huge economic victory. Not able to claim some major economic success. Oh, wow, gee, we're going to continue doing really great stuff. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Because the economy is not improving anymore. This is supposed to be the time of the year. This is supposed to be Q2 into Q3, supposed to be a very big growth period for the American economy. And instead, now, although feds are expected to cut the interest rates, according to individuals kind of speculating over in the market, it's not the time to cut interest rates because inflation has not come down to the appropriate levels that it needs to. And then number two, that kind of inflation stimulant known as the federal interest rate decreasing at this time would cause a very serious economic problem if it's cut now as soon as the election. And obviously that's not what a Democrat administration wants going into a crucial election, in which case, you know, Kamala's run is already under very, very severe jeopardy. So that has not stopped a serious amount of concern. Of course, the United States national debt is ballooning to rates and to amounts that we've never even seen before. And E.J. Antony, who is an economist over at the Heritage Foundation, pointed out today that Jerome Powell and company had no choice but to hold rates steady. Yet if they make the political move of cutting rates now, then what we're looking at is kind of like a 1970s style inflation explosion. Now, when the 1970s inflation explosion hit, it was not already on the backs of higher gas prices, higher food prices, low wages, low wage increase, and steadily rising unemployment. Unemployment at the beginning of July has hit 4.1%. It's expected when we see the July numbers here tomorrow in August that we're going to be getting a larger unemployment rate. The we'll hire anybody in any kind of a time craze has now softened. Unemployment's beginning to creep back up. Wages are not increasing in that commensurate rate. And the jobs numbers that the Biden administration was touting as just the best thing ever. Oh, gee, wow, look at all these jobs Biden is building. Well, remember back in March, you know, they were very, very, very excited because Biden had done all of this amazing work in February with the jobs numbers. He had added 275,000 jobs. Well, since that time, 39,000 of those jobs have been erased. So now it's down to 236,000. The April 2024 jobs report that Biden was bragging about, oh, he added 175,000 jobs to the economy, has since been revised twice, bringing the actual added jobs number down to 108,000, which is abysmally low, especially for presidential election year between Q2 and Q3. And that brings us to May's numbers. May's numbers have only been revised once. When we get the first revision for June, it's expected here in a couple days, we'll get a second revision to May, and that May will drop even further. Biden bragged about adding 272,000 jobs to the economy in May. In reality, only 218,000 jobs were added. That's just the first revision. If you continue down along that trend, there could have been over a 100,000 job overestimation. That is serious recession territory that we're heading to. A couple of recession with very weird mutual fund stock market highs, and you are reaching what could be a hyperinflationary disaster. That's Bidenomics. Now, the theme of this evening's episode are the questions the media are not asking Kamala Harris. No one's asking her anything about this. Have you heard one question about interest rates or the economy asked about Kamala? No. Because the only time Kamala's talked about the economy is paying for people's rent federally. As in, the federal government providing rent control and special grants to people on first-time mortgages, which is insane. I mean, you think money printers have been bad before. Oh yeah, every time the U.S. gets involved with the real estate market, things just go wonderfully. Oh dear Lord in heaven. This is a monumental disaster, but the media is just, ignoring it completely. Kamala has not been asked any questions at all. Nothing about the impending economic forecast, the impending foreign forecast, not to mention the issues that Americans care about at home, such as in specific cultural issues, the U.S. immigration problem. So if you take the economy and foreign policy and immigration across the southern border and crime, and then add that to the culture issues, and Kamala hasn't been asked about any of those things, what has Kamala been asked about? All of the journalists today who were whining and clutching the pearls, oh, Donald Trump was so mean to the press. He sat there and answered questions and he didn't answer how I wanted. Why didn't he just bend down and kiss our feet? That's what they're supposed to do. Well, I hate to break it to you, but the American people notice when questions aren't being asked. And that could be a more critical flaw of the Kamala Harris campaign over the next couple of weeks than people are anticipating at the moment. Right now, people are kind of banking on the idea that Kamala's going to ride this wave up until about the Democrat National Convention, and then she's going to announce right before the DNC, she'll announce her vice president campaign, and then whoever she chooses, whether it's Shapiro or Whitmer or Bashir or the Arizona guy, they're going to bring them forward, and then it's going to be wonderful, and there's going to be another big wave over support for this VP candidate. And then you're going to get the DNC, and there's going to be another big wave. I mean, you see how this is charted out, right? That there's just going to be this wave that somehow carries Kamala through these last 97 days to the election. Problem is, the VP that Kamala is going to choose is kind of going to be underwhelming. And that Americans have more questions than what drag show Kamala's going on this evening or what concert she's holding in Atlanta. Because when Whitmer and Shapiro together, the two big contenders, can barely fill a 1,000-person high school gymnasium in Michigan, Trump and Vance are decking out 30, 40,000 people stadiums, way more. I don't know, guys. Just saying. Well, thank you very much for tuning in this evening. We will be back tomorrow with some more fun and another dumpster fire. This has been the Tony Kinnett Cast here on The Daily Signal, syndicated first on 93 WIBC. Take care.
It's that time of year.